I've been getting a lot of questions from people that want a tour of the tiny house. I figure now is as good a time as any, since I'm actually gonna have to be in here for a while. It's gonna be my home for the next 14 days. Turns out, I got COVID from my kids. Now, I don't want this to be any kind of politicized video. I really don't want to talk about that. But I figured, since I'm gonna have to live in here, I might as well give you guys a tour of it. Also, this whole lose your taste and smell thing, this is for real. Anything. French toast with broccoli, doesn't matter. I basically learned that just combine protein, vegetables, and fiber of any kind. This is gonna be the healthiest I've ever eaten in like a year probably. Look, for example, it's like multivitamin. Multivitamin, nature made, definitely not a chewable vitamin. It doesn't matter. You just throw them in your mouth, chew it up. Texture wise, feels like you're chewing on chalk. Can't taste a thing. Don't need coffee in my creamer anymore, or creamer in my coffee. Doesn't matter. Originally, we built the tiny house to replace a pump house that was falling apart. But then we decided to make it a little bit bigger and turn it into a guest house because we have a lot of people that stay at our house, like traveling overland people and a lot of wildland firefighters and rafting people. Okay, so coming into the tiny house, we've got this front door. We obviously did glass on purpose because with tiny houses, you tend to want to have a lot of light. More windows, and more windows. So usually when I'm shooting a video, I'm either sitting or standing at my work desk right here. What you guys always see in the background is essentially the breakfast bar, the kitchen, and then storage, because storage is important in tiny houses because there's not a lot of room. So this is the main living area. We've got a heater running over here. You know, the idea originally was to actually have a couch over here with a little coffee table and like a thin couch that goes against the wall really well, with a coffee table, and then in the corner over here to have like a nice little chair that can be rolled around on wheels. Somebody was living in here, they'd be able to have 1 or 2 guests over, actually be able to cook dinner, be able to eat in here and hang out and talk in the evening and have a nice time. Over here in the back corner, this is my charging station. I use it when we go on our trips, but I have so many different batteries and stuff, and they're so, you know, there's a limited amount of plugs in here, so I basically plug it into the wall, and then I use it as a charging station to charge all of my different batteries, cameras, and all that kind of stuff. If you see right over here on the walls, yeah, that's all noise dampening foam. Essentially, we've got some storage over here. We've got the desk here. We did build this. When I say we, I have a friend. You can look him up on Instagram. His name is Modern Timber. He's a really good craftsman, and he helped me out with all of this. And when I say helped out, he did a lot, almost all of the woodwork. I did some, but all this kind of stuff. This is his genius use of a bunch of spare wood that I had. So this whole entire place, not the frame is a Tuff Shed kit that comes flat packed like on a trailer that you put together. But the actual, all the woodwork that you see on the inside here, so it's just birch paneling, clear coated. Then I had a bunch of leftover cedar from a deck that I built on the back of my house. So that's what all the lines are. This is all cedar. Like, you can see the different colors of wood sometimes because it's just, again, it's just more scrap wood that was from, you know, the wood pile somewhere. So there's just random scrap wood everywhere. Butcher block countertop in here. Pan up here and you look at the ceiling, it looks like it's shiplap. The thing is, pine shiplap is really expensive. It was gonna be literally a couple $1,000 just to get enough of the shiplap to do the second story roof and sides. So what we actually did is we just bought super cheap plywood and cut it into strips on a table saw, routed the edges, and then just put it up there and sealed the seams. So it kind of ended up being kind of cool because it ended up looking very much like the whole entire thing is shiplap, but that's shiplap on the cheap, if you don't mind a lot of labor. We got a ceiling fan up there just to get some air moving around. Over here, we kind of just did some nice touches. We just tried to stick in, like, for example, this tree right here. Just kind of, I fed that through and added that. It actually is a spot where I hang my jacket when I'm not using it, right up here. So it's kind of like my coat hanger. And then these little cubbies, really, if you were living in here, I would imagine that you would have more things like dishes or something, but in my case, it's really just a decorative backdrop for the office. This is a really cool piece. This was from an old bank. I got it at a garage sale, I think for $1. We got the kitchen over here. This is going to be propane, but of course it's not hooked up yet because nobody was supposed to be living in here. And one thing about tiny houses that gets underestimated a lot is storage space. So a sink that has a cutting board on top of it, and then inside of there it has a drying rack, and then below that you have even a drying platform on that as well. And then since you can't have a really big sink, it's really key to have a really deep sink, because then you can, in fact, actually wash dishes in it, which is kind of a big deal. Yeah, we've got our hood vent here for cooking. So we did put a whole hood vent because in this tiny of a house, if you are gonna cook some real food on that stove, you obviously don't want to fill this whole entire place with smoke. Again, more shelves over here, a little bit of house plants, just trying to be able to make it homey if somebody did have to live in here. This breakfast bar over here that's really cool is made to fold down. So it will fold down flat against the wall if you need the maximum amount of space in here. It's got like super cheap flooring. Yeah, so that kind of covers the living space. Well, obviously there's some cabinets down there. Oh yeah, there's a fridge. So you've got a fridge, you've got your cabinets, for additional storage for like your cleaning supplies and everything like that. There is a certain amount of plugs in here, but like I said, for all of a sudden running an office and charging a massive amount of batteries and running a lot of equipment, it's pretty limited, so that's why we're using the Goal Zero. Okay, so one of the things we've had tons of comments on is this painting right here behind me. This is what's called, I think, a Trabant. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly. It was a car that was really common in Soviet Germany when there was the east side of Berlin and they had the Berlin Wall separating it. And it's actually a picture that I took of graffiti art that's on the Berlin Wall and a spot called the East Side Gallery. Feel free to look that up. It's got a lot of really cool history. After they decided to tear down the Berlin Wall, there was a whole section of it that kind of famous painters from around the world came and did these amazing graffiti art paintings, and a lot of them were in tribute of freedom and things that we should care about, and people and creativity and a lot of different cool things. So I actually took a bunch of pictures when I was there. This was about 15 to 20 years ago. I can't remember. And you can see it's like original graffiti art with a lot of additional graffiti art over it. And since I was there, they have actually done a restoration project on all of those paintings to kind of keep them, to preserve them. A lot of them had deteriorated so bad where you could barely even tell what they were. I can show you a couple more of those. But yeah, so they've all been restored now, so all the other graffiti art over top of it has been removed, which on one level is rad that future generations are going to be able to see this art, but on another level is kind of sad because the way that it was deteriorating and starting to flake off, and all the additional graffiti art and messages from 30, 40 years of history, or 30 years of history, all actually added a really cool element to it. I actually think that it was a pretty interesting time to be able to see that art and capture it. Anyhow, so that's the story behind the artwork. Let me go ahead and I want to show you guys the upstairs. So give me 1 second and I will show you how the ladder works. Because we didn't want to have a ladder that takes up a lot of space, especially if you wanted to be able to have company over if you were living in this. Okay, so behind this wall is the pump house, and I'll show you that at the end of the video. Walking around, there's a barn door that opens up, and it's where we store a lot of our rafting gear and everything, and then there's also the pump that supplies our house with water. So that's why we actually built this place in the first place. Essentially, behind this wall is all that storage. So we had a limited amount of space for the living room and the kitchen kitchen and dining room and everything. So we decided to put the ladder where we built it into the wall so it wouldn't be able to get in the way when people are trying to use this very small living space. So what we did is we essentially, when I say we, again, my buddy Modern Timber, check out his Instagram if you want to look at some more awesome woodwork. We put the ladder into the wall. It has its own rails that it slides on. So this may look pretty big, and it's metal, but it's not heavy and it's not hard to pull out at all. Right now I just have slip-on shoes that I keep up there that I kind of wear around in here for climbing up and down the ladder because I have wimpy feet and that doesn't quite cut it. But yeah, so it just pulls out of the wall. Very simple. You can take a look at it. Yep, it just literally comes down to about the middle of the room here and then kind of just goes up and goes back into that box. And that box is completely sealed in so it doesn't let any cold air in. And yeah, and actually on that note, the whole entire place is insulated. So we do have insulation, really good insulation I built into all the walls. So it's pretty easy to, really low heat bill to heat this place. Let's go ahead and go up these stairs and then you can get an idea of the living situation up here. As you can see, I am 6'4" and I can almost stand up here in the middle, but not quite. So we've got the bed here. We've got some nightstands that are made from some old orange boxes and apple boxes. We've got the Pelican up here actually for clothing storage right now. So like I said, I have to live up here right now. That's the heat pump and air conditioner that'll vent right out the side of the wall there. So that'll keep the place nice and cool. And we've got this wonderful bed with this awesome blanket, probably our favorite wedding present. But yeah, go ahead and just sleep up here. As you can see, there's a lot of room on the side of the bed. Between that side and this side, it would be really easy to build in some, you know, like a dresser and different things for clothing storage. There's a lot of extra room up here for storage. Even if you put a queen size bed up here, and you could shift it to one side and there would be plenty of room. There is power up here for the lights and everything. So yeah, all in all, pretty cool space. I love it. We got that high window over there, which is great because that allows us to get some light into the upstairs without having to have lights up there. Go ahead and climb down this ladder without killing myself. There we go. So yeah, that pretty much summarizes the tiny house. I'll show you putting away this ladder really quick. It's pretty easy. Literally just, the way it's notched was actually pretty ingenious. Just slide on the rail. There you go. As you saw, there's no bathroom because the bathroom is going to get built right outside the wall over here because I wanted it to be able to be accessed from outside when people are camping here and visitors are playing outside. And I'm just going to have it be cement floor so it's really easy to almost like hose down and clean out. I wanted to give you guys some quick details and measurements. This barn, like I said, is a Tuff Shed. The style of barn it is their Premier Pro tall barn. They call it the tall barn because these walls right here that you can see are 8 feet tall. And then I think center is 13.5 feet if I remember right. The barn is 12 feet wide by 20 feet long, but most of that, a lot of that space is wasted with the pump house storage area. So if you wanted to build something like this yourselves, you could probably get away with a much smaller build, like a 12 by 12, and even fit the bathroom inside and still have a little bit more space than what we're working with here. Okay, wow, well, if you're still watching, maybe you get rewarded. I'll ship a printout of the Trabant, and all you got to do to get entered is leave a comment below and make sure you're subscribed and like the video. So thanks for watching. See you guys in the next video.